My name is Jonny Umansky. I graduated in 2006 and I studied film and VPA, and I am now a writer.
And you are a writer for many different types of projects.
I've written all kinds of different stuff, from film to TV to the occasional movie for television, and even a few commercials.
Cool. So this is not exactly what you thought you'd be doing when you were studying film at VPA. Kind of take me from the dream then to living the dream now, and how that's happened.
I came into VPA back in 2002, wanting to direct independent films, and then after my first internship, I worked at the William Morris Agency. I quickly realized that I was more interested in commercial things than being a struggling director in New York City, living on a couch in Brooklyn. So I decided to come out to LA, where I ended up sharing a studio apartment with my best friend who had studied writing at NYU, and the two of us had written our first pilot together based on an idea I had about I wanted to write a story about a couple of kids trying to change the world. And we eventually sold that to NBC, and that was the first pilot that we had sold.
And then from that, it kind of snowballs, right?
Yes.
I mean, that's kind of how it works out here. Tell me about your experience in getting to where you are now.
Well, what you want to really what you come to see is that everything leads to the next thing, and you constantly find yourself getting brought these opportunities once you've had your first little bit of success. And funny enough, the first thing we wrote after selling a young political drama to NBC was a Christmas movie for ABC Family about elves on spring break.
All right.
So there's a certain mentality you can have where you can kind of stand on airs and only write the specific things that you want to write, or you can be a little more open-minded and say, I want to keep writing and I don't want to have to work any other jobs, so I'd like to, as long as I can keep writing instead of having to also be a waiter, I'll write the silly elf movies if they come my way.
I love it.
Yeah. So.
Now, what a lot of students need to know, though, is it's not move out from Syracuse, move into LA, and boom, I am selling shows to NBC, baby.
Of course.
I mean, it's a challenge. What do you want students to know who are looking to be writers?
Absolutely. That's a phenomenal question. One thing, most importantly, being a writer is much harder than writing. And I say that because anyone can sit behind a laptop, anyone can sit behind a typewriter and bang out a story. But if you really want to make that your profession, if you really want to kind of strive to do that for a living, you have to understand that comes with a giant wealth of rejection. And there is never a week that goes by that somebody who you have absolutely no control over decides that because he finally read your script and thought it was awful, that you're not going to get hired for some job, or you're not going to move forward when you're trying to pass your script up the ladder at a network or a studio or even at a production company. And that could have absolutely nothing to do with your script at all. It could be the fact that I was running late and he didn't even get a chance to read your script. When his boss asked him about it, he quickly said, oh no, it was terrible, so that way he doesn't have to actually go through and then go back and read it. So the first few years of writing, when you start to experience that level of rejection and kind of the understanding that it's so beyond your control, that's really the hardest part of being a writer. But once you're able to understand there's so many factors that go into it, that literally you have nothing to do with, it becomes a lot easier when you realize that just because someone didn't like your script may not really be because of what you've written, just because of the situation in which they read it.
I think there's a good message too about not being afraid to take. I mean, you had to take some pretty not glamorous jobs, right? When you first moved out here.
Before I was able to sell my first show, I did everything from work as an ambassador for Best Buy Mobile at the LA Car Show, where I was trying to sell people cell phones, to working in branded entertainment, designing websites. Literally anything I could do to scrounge together money for rent was what I was willing to do. But fortunately, things have come a long way since then, and I don't have to dance in front of the auto show guests any longer.
Nice.
Yeah.
Tell me about your Syracuse network out here. And,
sure.
I mean, how does that operate?
Well, what's wonderful is that I have found that most of my friends, all have either from Syracuse, have either moved out here after they graduated, or they'll come to visit me. And like right now in January, where it's 75 degrees, they will move here within a few months of coming out for a visit. So I'd say out of my close group of guy friends, more than half are definitely kids from Syracuse. And interestingly enough, I've actually become really close to a lot of guys that I didn't even know when I was at school. But because of a lot of different alumni events and just other Syracuse grads kind of bring this all together, we've all become very close.
And when you look at the industry out here, I mean, you know, May is when the shows are hiring. What should students know about, you know, the alumni welcoming them when they get here? Like, what did you find?
One of the things that I think is absolutely incredible about Syracuse in particular is that we have a really great support system for SU grads. So when you finish up, you come out here, there's no end to the amount of alumni that are willing to help you out, that'll get you an internship, that will help you get an assistant job or a PA gig. There are even guys who will open up their house that'll say, use my fax machine to send over your resume to places, or use my phone to make phone calls, you know, trying to find a gig. And so there's this gigantic kind of sprawling network of Syracuse grads that are really all excited to help out, whether it's having been a mentor for the SU in LA program, or it's guys that are, you know, doing what I do, which is, you know, as a writer and as a director, trying to help out as many people as we can. You really come to find that when you're a Syracuse grad, you always have friends in LA, which is really nice, and I feel like a lot of other schools don't have nearly the support that we've got out here. And there's a lot of great people who have put together a lot of wonderful programs that you'll come to find when you land here, and I'm sure we can put in the project notes here, that will show you kind of how to access all of these individuals. Because everybody wants to help out, and it's, you know, you go to bars here for Syracuse basketball games, and there will be just a sea of orange. And when you're 3,000 miles away from Cuse, it's a pretty impressive sight. Awesome.
Last question.
Yeah, sure.
What kept you going when things were tough?
When things were tough, literally, the first show that I sold, which was to NBC, was a project called Young Turks. And my writing partner and I had written it 3 years to the day we had sold it to the network. And really what kept us going was, we've had this dream our whole lives. My writing partner and I have been best friends since we were in preschool. We've been making short films in my backyard in St. Louis since we were probably 12 years old. And what really kept me going is knowing that I always had this support from my family to kind of pursue my dream, and I was always kind of this knowledge that eventually I would get there. And I had two choices. I could either throw in the towel when things got tough and leave LA and go back and go to law school maybe, and, you know, go pursue something else, or I could keep my chin up. I could say, I don't care how many people say no, all it takes is one person to say yes. And then finally, when that happened for me, all it did was open up another dozen doors for me to walk through. And, you know, I'm not going to lie, a lot of more people say yes even after you've had that one. I'm sorry, a lot of people say no even after you hear that first yes. But what you come to find is that you keep trying, you persevere. And as I was saying earlier to a friend, I just finished my 18th script with my writing partner. And while we certainly haven't sold all 18 of those, what we have done is kind of really honed in our craft to make us really equipped to write anything that comes our way. So my best advice for any young writers out there, any young directors out there, keep writing, keep making shorts, put stuff on YouTube. There are so many great free services that you can, I mean, literally you can use your iPhone, you can cut it together on iMovie on a MacBook Pro and throw it up on YouTube, and who knows, if it's funny, if it's clever, if it's different, that's the kind of thing that can get you attention. And in this town, everyone's constantly sitting around, did you see that video, did you see this clip, put it on Funny or Die, put it on Vimeo, put it anywhere, just make stuff, show it to people, and the worst thing they can do is say they didn't like it. So what do? You go and you make something else, and you do it all over again until somebody loves it.
Love it. Jonny Umansky, class of 2006. Lots of fun projects coming, right?
Yes, a lot of exciting stuff. So
stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
All right.
Bye,
Thanks,
guys.
Jonny.
Good luck.